The game is being redefined by Caitlin Clark. Her thrilling performances in basketball and an unafraid attitude toward competition have not only enthralled followers and analysts, but also attracted the notice of NBA legends who usually say nothing about. The WNBA has never had a single player sparked this mixture of admiration and discussion among the best in the sport. Numbers from breaking records to modifying the game's gameplay. Clark is igniting a new wave of athletes' generation.
When you take into stock the fact that outside of Kevin Durant, aging superstar, LeBron James, 40 years old, and Steph Curry, there's not a single NBA player more popular today than Caitlin Clark.
But there have been challenges along the way. Her abilities have been questioned by some, and critics have attempted to minimize her success, but two of the greatest famous figures in the history of basketball, Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, came up to express their opinions. What they said about Clark could alter people's perceptions of her permanently. With all the discussions around none other than Caitlin Clark, Jordan has taken the initiative to share his opinions, and his statements alters everything. Caitlin owes the WNBA a lot for her contributions to the. Jordan said throughout the game that his remarks weren't. Simply put, they served as a wake-up call. Jordan did more than just acknowledge her impact, he pointed out, and emphasized the directing the league and highlighting that the officials have been openly unjust to Clark, emphasizing that the WNBA needs to take charge and make everything in order. His assertion carries weight when the best basketball player of all time talks and people pay attention. Jordan's remarks support the idea that Caitlin is more than just a player. She's a game changer whose impact on the sport needs to be acknowledged, and most significantly, we have no respect for what comes after. Other than four-time NBA champion Steph Curry, two-time league MVP champion, and the best shooter basketball game ever. Seen as a longtime Caitlin fan, Curry has never shied away from Clark's game, from complimenting her abilities even back when she was illuminating college defenses.
Her range, her three-point shooting overall, her flair for testing her range every night and knowing that the other team's going to try to take it away. And she's fearless. No shot is a bad shot, and when you can shoot it as well as she can, she just adds another element of surprise that you can't really game plan for because it's so kind of just unseen.
From a player who transformed the game with his, what a huge honor that is to shoot, increases Curry's admiration. Interestingly, he and Clark have an uncommon talent and nearly supernatural range of fire that compels defenders to, when they cross half, show them respect. Court, but this is where it really gets amazingly high. Clark's average, the three-pointer, is made by an astounding 28 feet 1.1 inches, which is farther more than Trey's maximum firing range. Curry, as well as youthful Damon Lillard himself, it's no surprise that people make fun of you. Must begin protecting Caitlin Clark as soon as she enters the gym.
I saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. And then her just confidence. You can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like, she's a performer.
Kevin Durant, a former NBA player, 2014 NBA MVP and champion, has been one of the most ardent fans of Caitlin Clark. Having studied her game intently, he is unable to quit gushing about what makes her so amazing. Unique ability.
Always had the ball in her hand. Everybody was playing off of her. She just commanded the whole game. I was like, who the hell is this? She is nice. It was like, oh, she's the best player in the country.
Durant has explained the reasons why Clark is among the riskiest defensive players from her that he has ever seen. Her elite has an infinite shooting range. He sees the potential for playmaking of a superstar throughout generations. But what most notable to Durant is her unwavering labor ethic, which he is personally aware of. Being great requires more than simply talent. Regarding the number of hours spent behind the scenes, and he recognizes a player in Caitlin Clark, who isn't just changing the record, literature, but expanding the realm of what's feasible in basketball for women.
That's player, period. Right now, she's incredible.
She's advanced, man. She could do a lot out there. She's making the right plays. She could draw so much attention, and she just baiting the defense in, and I'll still make a cross-court pass. Just like, that's just muscle memory. I work on this every day.
A player named Allen Iverson Lefton, enduring impression on the NBA, observes a number of similar like himself in Caitlin Clark. Iverson changed how the game was played with his dazzling handles and unafraid scoring. Clark is following suit in the WNBA is enthralling people and creating new requirements for both women's basketball. Players were under tremendous pressure from their time in college into the workforce, with critics are wondering if they could keep up their supremacy at the next level. And similar to Iverson's silence, skeptics, Clark is demonstrating that she is of the greatest Iverson of late. Felt the same way about Clark breaking. Why is she such a unique talent? Demonstrated her capacity to assume control. Games in which she scores a quality score. He was well known for, but not limited to, Iverson acknowledges a point even. More crucially, Clark's capacity to. He has direct knowledge of her teammates. That being a celebrity involves more than just getting buckets, involves raising. Even if you're surrounded with Clark, among the WNBA's youngest players, possesses that uncommon talent already.
Man, shoot the blood out of the ball. You know what I mean? I never seen anything like it. You know what I mean? And then just how aggressive she is, you know, and not just scoring in basketball, getting her teammates involved as well. I think she's so great for the game. You know what I mean? It was a pleasure watching her, and I just think down the road, she's going to only get better.
Throughout his Philadelphia was carried by Iverson in prime. The 76ers' incredible run to the NBA Finals. Perseverance and unrelenting scoring. Even without a star-studded, he considers Clark to be a supporting cast member. Someone with that same drive, who is able to. Will she lead her team to triumph regardless of the situations? But he also comprehends that in order for Clark to actually flourish, the Indiana Fever need to assemble a strong squad. Iverson thinks Clark is the best around her. She is days ahead of her, and as she keeps improving, she will only get better. Adept at managing her group and adapting to the. Despite the obstacles she faces, he is confident that Clark will learn, just like he did, how to have greater success with her team, changing to become a player who can propel a team to the championship. LCA Donick, the recurring MVP of the contest, candidate, and among the most intelligent young NBA players, have nicknamed Caitlin Steph Curry's female counterpart, Clark, and if that wasn't already great, he even acknowledged that she may be a better shooter, whereas he is a player praised for his own shooting. That level of brilliance is roughly as high as flattering as it gets.
It's a woman, Steph Curry. Thank you. She can shoot it better than me.
Tyrese Haliburton, star of the Indiana Pacers, did not hesitate to give Caitlin a hug. When Clark got to Indiana from he had nothing at the time she was drafted, but acknowledging her and giving her kudos for her game as a talent with the capacity to alter, increase interest in women's basketball and the Fever. Overall,
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for her to be here. I think it brings a lot of excitement to the city, and you know, a city with a lot of young talent already as it is, and adding her, you know, she's one of the faces of women's basketball, and for her to be here and under the same roof, you know, I think is really exciting for me, and I think a lot of people in our organization.
Haliburton, support is more than just words. He has been a frequent attendance at Fever games, seen seated courtside, completely absorbed in the action and his encouraging responses. He shakes his head in major plays. Astonishment at Clark's long three-pointers demonstrate his admiration for her ability. His enthusiasm extends beyond. It all comes down to what Clark speaks on behalf of the city of Indianapolis and its fervent sports culture.
For almost all of Caitlin's games. Any big takeaways? And
she's a great player, and I just like watching her play. I like watching all the girls play. You know, they're getting a lot better as the season's went on. Leah had a great game the other day. Kelsey's been great. But I like going and watching basketball. So as long as I'm in Indy and I'm not doing nothing, I'm going to go watch the game. It's always fun to do. So I love being able to watch people games. The excitement in the city is awesome. It's cool when I bring people who, like, I brought a couple friends who haven't been to a WNBA game before, and they're like, bro, it's in the third level. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's what fever games are like now, you know? So it's really cool to see the excitement around the team.
Since Clark arrived, there have been new energy to Halberton, and Indiana has been. He is one of her greatest champions, recognizes the importance of having a city's generational talent, and he's completely supportive of the rise in fever. Whether via shout-outs on social media or in-person assistance Halberton has, he obviously has faith in Clark, and he's excited to take the stage alongside another. A superstar is bringing Indiana basketball to Shaquille O'Neal, one of the new heights. Most powerful powers in basketball. At first, history stood amid Caitlin. Skeptics of Clark's devotion to LSU. In addition to his strong relationship with Angel, Reese formed his initial views on the 2023 national championship game that Clark played. Championship after LSU defeated. Shaq of Iowa expressed his doubts openly about Clark's capacity to function at the greatest level.
People love Caitlin Clark, besides her skills.
She can shoot threes from logo.
We never seen that before. That's my point. Steph Curry, a little kid. Like, Steph Curry, I love, you know why I love Steph Curry? Because I've never seen that before.
However, as Clark, she kept riding like a meteor. O'Neal discovered himself in game after game, reconsidering all he had stated. The best playmaking is deep threes, the capacity to lead a team-building activity, and it was impossible to ignore the night out. The Hall of Famer eventually had to acknowledge the reality of Caitlin Clark's unique in a moment of refreshing candor. Shaq didn't come off as shy on Angel Reese's podcast. Despite his change of heart, he publicly agreed that Clark had shown him, incorrectly stating,
He's doing stuff we've never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis. There's a lot of girls in WNBA that have done it in spurts, but you know, that game I'm watching y'all in the Final Four, I'm like, damn, like, and I was a hater because, you know, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot, and bam, like, damn, she's not going to hit that shot, man. Like, if I say 10 times you're not going to hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth.
The reality, that degree of acknowledgement from one of the best player in the history of the sport is nothing minor about Shaw's change from. It says a lot to be skeptical of admiration. Regarding Clark's influence compelling even her two greatest critics to accept. Keep in mind that Charles Barkley is never one to sugarcoat his thoughts when observing the ascent of Caitlin Clark with keen curiosity. Although he has always found her impressive shooting range and the capacity to create plays, what truly catches his attention isn't only the figures reflect Barkley's mentality. Observed many gifted athletes arrive and go, but not many have managed the strain, examination, and outright animosity the way. In a recent interview, Clark has. Barkley gave Clark's poise a lot of praise, saying,
what she's done for the game the last couple of years, I mean, she is a shining star. And you know, the thing I like about her, man, she doesn't say a word. Yeah, she's never said a word about anybody. She just shows up and does her job.
However, Barkley didn't end there. His voice has also been among the loudest, pointing to the unjust treatment that Clark has been given on the court, and he has observed the cheap shots and needless physicality, given the manner in which referees have allowed slide, and I understand that he is unhappy about it. Barkley, rookies must get respect. But the way they're treating Caitlin, it's petty, not basketball. Absurdity, and it must end, but
I didn't think she was going to have to worry about all this petty nonsense that's going on. These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan,
However, Barkley didn't end there. His voice has also been among the loudest, pointing to the unjust treatment that Clark has been given on the court, and he has observed the cheap shots and needless physicality. Given the manner in which referees have allowed slide, and I understand that he is unhappy about it. Barkley, rookies must get respect. But the way they're treating Caitlin, it's petty, not basketball. Absurdity, and it must end, but... Garnett, however, did not merely commend. Additionally, he addressed one of Clark's games, the year's most significant disputes. Garnett blasted her Olympic snub on air, stating that Clark was deserving of a place on. In addition to Team USA, he awarded her enormous admiration for the way she managed the entire circumstance rather than snapping. Taking it calmly, Clark held her concentrate on the WNBA. Garnett was aware of such type of leadership maturity, referring to her as a real game changer for what lies ahead of basketball for women.
I think USA dropped the ball on this. We have a new wave coming in and it's being denied. You know, I think the WNBA, this is just my view, bro. They've established something and they built something, right? They got something. It's a new wave that is here. And it's got a major blockage on it, man. Listen, to everybody out here, bro, we're not fighting over the pie that's been established. The ideal is to grow the pie.
Another Celtics legend is Paul Pierce, was also unable to contain his admiration following the viewing of Clark's unforgettable 41 points in the matchup with LSU in the Pierce was left out of the NC Law tournament. Wow, he didn't only describe it as remarkable, called it the best performance I've ever saw in a male collegiate tournament, or a woman who is speaking from a man who's observed March Madness for decades. Pierce's past didn't end there. He also entered the Olympic snub controversy, agreeing with Garnett's assessment of Team USA, aired by excluding Clark from the roster. To him, Clark is more than simply a rising star. As a player, she enhances the entire game, attracting new followers and reimagining the WNBA's potential.
You claim you want the women's game to grow, and then you keep the most popular girl in women's basketball off the team. How do you grow internationally and domestically if you don't put her on the U.S. team? It just makes the most sense. Sometimes you have to say, hey guys, this is bigger than the game, which it is.
It is. When Hall of Famers are present, such as Garnett and Pierce publicly supporting, you're obviously doing something special. Clark is more than just gaining admiration. Her peers are beginning to admire her. From some of the best players ever, the match and the manner in which she's carrying out this task is just the starting, but here is where things go from here. Not everyone is on this intriguing turn on the same page as Paul and Kevin Garnett. Pierce becomes an Indiana Pacers legend. A sharpshooter named Reggie Miller is aware of a few things regarding handling, pressure, and physicality in contrast to Garnett. Furthermore, Pierce Miller isn't precisely shocked by Caitlin Clark's actions. Actually, he views it as a component of the procedure.
You're playing at the highest level. You're playing in the WNBA. You're coming from college and you're going to the pro ranks, right? What did she expect was going to happen? Why are people so shocked, right? You're playing against grown women. The same thing happened to us as rookies, going against they're out there trying to embarrass you.
From Miller's point of view, these are the advantages. No matter what, there are no free passes. You are skilled and seasoned in the league, are not simply going to let you enter and seize control. They will confront. You assess your fortitude and ensure you deserve all the respect in the world. And that's precisely what's going on with Clark. Now, but here's the catch. Miller is keeping a tight eye on her and doesn't distrust her, as he observes a player who declines to concede in game after game. Clark continues to demonstrating her affiliation with the physical play, the increased pressure, competition, but it doesn't faze her. Rather, she is adapting to learning and gaining power.
I absolutely love everything that Caitlin Clark stands for and what she has done for the women's game.
And Miller is paying attention, understands what it takes to live and prosper in a league that does not give free of charge, and if Caitlin Clark continues to do what she is doing, it will not be long before even her hardest critics are forced to show respect her game, and at last we reach the moment that everyone has been anticipating. Larry, the legendary Larry, a bird.
Max looking, loops it to Bird, a runner. It's good! It's good! And the Celtics win it! Bird hit.
Martin looking. Here's Clark. She fires! And goes! She hit it!
For admirers for months, and experts have started drawing comparisons between Caitlin Clark to Bird, indicating their common self-assurance, winning instincts, and aptitude to win games when it counts most. However, the Bird himself is now voicing his opinion, and his statements are really important.